Do with our advanced property marketing system, our internet, our tools, our website, all of that stuff. And I'm going to let Tony take it over and tell you some exciting things that we have in the company and talk about our new Search3 platform. Tony?
Thank you, Todd. Well, first of all, let me give Todd some kudos because Todd does a great job teaching a number of our classes. So we're always stealing Todd to try something or be involved in researching something we're thinking about doing that's new. So Todd, we appreciate what you do. So one of the things I wanted to come talk to you a little bit about today was the new search platform. And it's called Search3, but let me give you a little perspective. We've been using this theme of redefining the real estate experience both for you and for our clients. And so we're spending some energy here really redefining the search experience. And when you think about it, what is one of the most fundamental components of real estate? Searching properties, isn't it? And if you look at all of your websites and our company site, the number one thing that people do is search properties on our website. So it is really important to have something that is appealing to consumers. Wouldn't you think so? All right, so what we're basically doing here, here's essentially our strategy. We want to engage consumers where they search, all right? That's why we're spending so much energy with Zillow and Realtor.com, because we know that about 65% of all the consumers in our market start their search process there. Many of them are very early in the cycle, but they're starting on Zillow and Realtor.com. So what we want to do is essentially engage them there, do all the things we can to make you stand out so that we begin to connect you to consumers on those major sites and then get them into our world, all right? So, you've heard Todd talk a lot about setting up people on your My Home Finder accounts, giving people your mobile app, your personalized version. So when they search, they're searching in your world and you can look and see exactly what they do. So if they're telling you that they're really searching in 400 to 450 and you see everything they're looking at is in 550, you have some insight into their patterns that they may not be quite fully exposing to you. The other benefit that we try to work really hard on is to try to provide some things that provide value to them that they don't as easily get on the national sites. And so we do have some advantages. So some examples of that would be school districts, okay? So do people typically, think a school district might be important, especially in East Cobb, all right? Of course it is. And is it easy to search on Zillow by school district? You can't search at all on Zillow by school district. All right? Now, eventually they'll figure that out, but typically what they'll use is a national database, and it won't be quite, as local as we can make ours. Because one of the things that we know, and is we know more about our local market, don't we? And if you're one of the big national providers, it's really difficult for you to figure out all these local nuances and try to do that on a larger scale. So local, real estate is local, and that is part of our advantage. So school districts would be an example. Can you do drive time searches on Zillow? No. So you have that on your mobile app. We'll very shortly have that on your websites as well, so you'll be able to do that locally. And do you think that's important for people with traffic in Atlanta and figuring out how far a home might actually be from their work and their kids' school and other places that they may want to go visit? All right? Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but do you really know how Henrik's drive time searches work? Right? Can you show your client exactly how that works and how they can take advantage of that today? All right, if you can't do that, I would take an action item. And Todd, we can hold another class and make sure that you really understand exactly how that works. Do you know exactly how the school district searches work? All right, and the advanced criteria. Right now, you're actually going to have two different forms of school districts. I'll show you one that is going to be kind of a general layout. It's going to show you the geographic boundaries, and then in the advanced criteria, you can also search by the MLS inputs. So when you input it in the MLS service, you pick the local elementary school, middle school, and high school, don't you? All right. Now, do you think you might be more accurate than the national databases? Probably. All right. So if you have someone who's looking on your website or looking on some other website, and the school district doesn't quite work for them, you might have another option for them that actually works better because you have that local MLS input that the agents are pretty darn good at because it's a drop-down menu they have to select. And the accuracy of that is very, very high. So that's another example. Neighborhood searches is another example. So you can do all kinds of custom searches on your website today. Very shortly, we're going to enable the ability for you to do those easily in the search bar. So can you find, when you go to Zillow today and you go to search Buckhead, where do you think you're going to end up?
Buckhead, Georgia. Oh my gosh.
Buckhead, Georgia. You might know where Buckhead, Georgia actually is?
It's out I-20.
It's out I-20. It's about 50 miles away. So there's all these little nuances, that are there that if you know, you can appear smarter to your consumers. You can provide them something that's more valuable to them. And again, we love Zillow, but it benefits you to engage your clients, get them onto your tools, get them into your world, so that you can control things going forward, and for you to be able to provide more value to them in the search experience itself. So that's really what we're trying to do. So, of course, you all know we've had these for a while. We've had very robust, full websites, a lot of customization options available to you, and we have a mobile app that's completely integrated. So when people are doing My Home Finder accounts, they work on both devices. They can use the mobile app if they want to use the mobile app, and they can use your website option if they want to use that. So what we announced a couple of months ago was we brought forth the new intranet dashboards, and what this really is designed to do is this. I mean, part of the big story here is mobile. You're going to see everything that we do is going to be smartphone first in our approach, because how many people do you think are searching with these devices now versus these devices? Yeah, overall, about 65% of our traffic on your website and our website are done with this device. And do you think everything fits really well in lots of websites on this device? No. Did your intranet fit well on this device before? No. So we announced a whole new platform for the intranet that gives us the foundation to now build on that is mobile responsive. So it's going to fit on your smartphone. And then all the other subpages over the course of the next couple of months, all those are being redesigned to where everything will fit on your smartphone. So when you're out and about and you need to find something, you can pull up your smartphone and you can go look for it. Thank you, Tom. So this particular example, this was a dashboard that shows you a little bit of the value estimates of the pipeline of activity that people are searching for, and you have saved searches and things like that for on your website, just to give you a little economic valuation. And over time, what we're going to do is turn this into a full sales pipeline management tool. So you'll be able to put in your goals, you'll be able to measure and see how you're doing associated with your goals, and you'll see things like red, green, yellow, let you know how you're performing against your goals, and really manage your sales pipeline a little bit more. Because what usually happens in real estate, spring goes crazy, everybody, you get a bunch of listings, they all start closing, all the activities associated with closing suck up all your time, and then everybody wakes up, usually in the late summer, going into the fall, and realizes, crap, my pipeline just went empty. So I got to go out and prospect more aggressively, I got to get more pipeline, I got to rebuild my pipeline. That kind of tool set allows you to really smooth that out and see it ahead of the curve and be more conscious about really working your pipeline to keep it full the entire year. So, how many people have seen or played around with Search3 yet? Oh, great, we have an opportunity then. All right, so all of your websites now have Search3 live on it. And what that basically is it's a whole new, it's a very, very powerful search platform. It's unlike any other brokerage, so it's a competitive advantage for you, all right, and it's a benefit to your consumers in the way that they want to search. And of course, as you notice here, it works on all device formats. That's part of the big news. So there's all kinds of little things that they've done, like listing detail pages. I'll show you the live example here, but here's an example of, on the laptop version or desktop version, when you're in a map search and you're looking at a property, the listing detail page will pop up in an overlay, as opposed to taking you to a new page. Because one of the things that's clunky in a lot of searches, so when you start clicking on the new pages, you end up opening a bunch of windows and it's hard to get back to where you were. So you'll easily be able to, in this example, look through a property that's right there on the overlay, and when you want to not look at that property, you simply click out of it and you're right back to where you were before, and the map search is very, very intuitive, very, very easy. So there's lots of little things like that
How do you
that I
get
think
to
they've done a good
Search3?
job of.
Pardon?
Pardon?
How do you actually get to Search3?
I'm going to show you that in just a second.
Okay.
All right, so here's a couple things, and we'll give you this so that you have a copy of this presentation, by the way. But one of the things that you'll see is, of course, in smartphones and iPads, what do you need to do? You don't have a mouse, do you? Right? What do? Tap. So you're tap friendly. So when you move things around, it's designed specifically so that you can do that very easily. And then when you're on a desktop, you can use your mouse and you can navigate as well. Another little thing is when you're showing the map search, a lot of our competitors will only show a very limited number of properties. And I'll show you some examples of kind of how our competitors work. In this example, you automatically, it's very, very fast, you automatically pop up 250 properties on the map. And that is very uncommon for our competition. So little things like this matter. You'll see some marketing stats integrated. There's some improvement in search engine optimization so that your pages are easy to find. Now, before all this, when your websites weren't mobile optimized, if you had a page on your website for a particular subdivision that was, information about that subdivision, could you see it from your smartphone? No. Right? Now, as we're transitioning all of our websites to completely mobile optimize, all those subpages that you have on your websites will now be able to be viewed and exposed on smartphones. So if, Glenda, you had a subpage for Indian Hills, you couldn't have seen it before on a smartphone. Now you'll be able to see it. So there's a lot of Google friendliness that happens with that. It helps your websites and some of those specific pages get found in searches. So let me go live here for just a moment, and I'll just show you the live version. All right, so this is our company site. I'll talk about this in a minute, but we have immersive video in it, and I'll go right to Search3. So this is what it looks like.
How'd you get to?
So you can, I'll go back.
You missed it.
You just click search.
So there's a variety of options. If on the company site, there's a quick search bar here. I can click in there. I can choose any of these search options. All those and right here on the home page there's a Get Started Now because we've kind of set that up in the beginning. And any of those options will take you right to the search. So it's going to pull up all these properties. You'll see there's 250 of 87,000 properties showing, and you'll have both map-based search and you'll have property layouts. Now you can change the navigation. If you want to go all map, right down here in the bottom right corner. If you want to go full map, you can do that. If you want to go full gallery, you can do that as well. Very few people are going to do that. Or if you want to do the combo, which is usually the most common, you can do that.
Tony, are our individual sites updated already? Or
Yes.
They are, okay.
All your individual sites are updated. So let me show a couple things. I'm going to come back here. So this is I mentioned mobile. You'll see the increase in the green up there and the red. Those are tablets and smartphones. So you see in our case about 65% of all of our traffic is smartphones and tablets. Zillow would tell you about 75% on the weekend. They get a big spike on the weekend. 75% smartphones and tablets. So that is where the lion's share of the traffic is going. Now, I mentioned Zillow. Zillow's done a lot of research, and they have gone very carefully over the design of their website. And so this looks kind of familiar to you, doesn't it? Big map, list of properties, all right? So do you think Zillow is probably recognized as one of the premier real estate websites in the world?
Oh, yes.
Of course it is, all right? So Redfin is another company that's recognized as having a very advanced search tool. And what does this look like? Big map, list of properties, doesn't it? Realtor.com, same thing. Big map, list of properties. The reason I show you this is because when you start looking at our competitors, this format of a very powerful map search is not common with brokerages. It is common with the leading national real estate websites. Now, why is that not common? Well, the real answer is because it ain't easy. It is really hard to build a search like this, and very expensive to build a search like this that is responsive, so it quickly responds in desktops and especially on mobile. So what you now have is something that your brokerage competition doesn't have and can give you a competitive advantage in listing presentations and ways to find more buyers. So let's just, so you'll see ours looks very similar. And so Coldwell Banker's probably the closest. And if everybody's seen Coldwell Banker's websites lately, so theirs is different, okay? So everything is national now. So ColdwellBankerHomes.com/Atlanta/Phoenix/Dallas/Chicago, they're all the same. Now, that's good in a sense because they have a national platform. It's bad in a sense because it's not local. They have buckets for local content on their Atlanta version of their site. And if they want to find an agent, you think you can find the agent's website easily on that site? You can't find it at all. You might be able to contact them with a phone number or an email, but you can't find their website in their, world at all. So there's a lot of little things about, the other thing I don't, Coldwell Banker, if you ever look at their, you can use this in a listing discussion, by the way. If you ever look at a listing detail page, would you, as the seller, be happy if on that same page, there were other similar properties of your local competition on your listing detail page? Would you be happy with that? I don't think so. But that's very common in national platforms, and that's so that's the case in Coldwell Banker. All right, so Harry Norman. Anybody seen Harry Norman's new website lately?
I can't quite figure it out.
It is a little difficult to figure out. They got some work to do.
Did look
So,
at it, actually.
so see this map-based search? How thin vertically? And does that look user-friendly? It's impossible to use. It is absolutely impossible to use. Now, I will show you something. Everybody kind of knows this. So what do you think would happen if I go to Harry Norman and I try to search Atlanta? All right, we're not telling them this quite yet.
No, because then they'll want to merge them.
Yeah, so they'll fix it, and then you'll be able to use it. All right, so if I start searching Atlanta, A-T, you might not be able to see this, but what that says is Atlanta. There's no L in Atlanta. So you can't search Atlanta at all.
Does Mike White know that?
We haven't told him yet. So if you want to do an interesting demo, you want to go search Atlanta. It must be a new area of Atlanta that we don't quite understand yet. But, and it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't work, because Atlanta doesn't exist, does it? Now this is Boston logic, so people in Boston have a hard time spelling Atlanta, I get it. But. So anyway, if you're in a listing presentation, you're competing against Harry Norman, why don't you show them how their listing might be found when people search Atlanta? And that's probably all the conversation you're going to need to have. You're done. So how do the rest of our competition, well, how do they look? So let's talk about Atlanta Fine Homes. So Atlanta Fine Homes does have a map search. It is the slowest map search I have ever seen. So it is painful.
It sits and spins.
Oh, it's awful. So in this particular case, you can't see this, but you'll be able to see it on the slide. There are 30-something pages of results when you do a map search. Now, which ones do you think display? Remember, you're displaying 250 properties. You click down, you drag, your cursor around and tap around, and properties are popping up on ours. If you want to get to page 14, you got to click on page 14, and only the listings on page 14 are going to show. So is that really user-friendly? Does Zillow work that way? So basically, the long and short of it is their map-based search stinks. What they do well is lists of pretty properties, right? Now, are all of Atlanta Fine Homes properties over $1 million and beautiful now? No, they got all kinds of price points now. So if you're really trying, as a consumer, if I'm really trying to search in an area, lists don't work very well. That's why Zillow, Redfin, and all the big national providers use map-based searches, because they have surveyed over and over and over consumers, and consumers over and over and over have told them the way they really want to search is by map. They want to see where houses are in a geographic area. They want to see where that house sits on a cul-de-sac. They want to see, if you're in Lake Lanier, where the house is on the lake. Is it actually on the lake, or does it say the lake and it's really a mile away? There's all kinds of nuances that you can see on a map with a really powerful map-based search that you can't figure out on a list. And your brokerage competitors don't have good map-based search tools. And it's not going to be easy for them to catch up. So you have a big advantage here. That's even worse when you start looking here. Start looking at, and you can do this demo yourself. You can pull up their websites on a smartphone, and you can just see what they look like. And I would encourage you to do this to some of your local competitors for their individual websites, and just see what they look like on a smartphone. And if you have to start panning around, it ain't going to work really well. So here's an example. I did a search with Harry Norman in Alpharetta and got no results again. So that's probably a good one to show. So they're all messed up now. Coldwell Banker's not too bad. Atlanta Fine Homes, I think that map is going to do really well on a smartphone. The one that didn't work so well on a desktop, not so much. So that's not going to work well. So if you look at Atlanta communities, they've got this, what people used to do, and we used to do as well, you have this what's called an MDOT search. So if you look at the URL at the top, it's basically a mobile search that you stick on. It detects a mobile device and pops up this mobile search. So it's a standalone search, and the reason none of your other pages could be exposed, it wasn't really your full website, it was just a temporary mobile search page. So if you see a little MDOT whatever at the top, that's what that is. So that's what Atlanta Communities has. So it's not very user-friendly. That's what Metro Brokers has. Keller Williams is a mess. They're all over the map, so it kind of depends on which one you select. This particular one will show the full website, but from a smartphone, it's not designed for mobile, so you can't use it. You'd have to try to expand the page and find your way to click around, and same thing on the search result page. This just doesn't work. So let me go back to the actual Search3 for a second. So in our world, again, very powerful map-based search. You've got the options for gallery if you want to use those back and forth, so you can change those around. Now, if I want to define an area, let's say I want to drill down here. And you'll notice how properties will pop up as I simply navigate. See how many properties pop up there pretty quickly like that?
How did you get that to go? I've got all of them up, I can't get them to show a smaller.
You just keep drilling down, whether it's, depending on your device.
It says drag or double click to drill down.
Yep.
It says define your search.
Now, if I want to define a specific area, I can draw a little polygon here. Click around, click around, click around. And now it's going to give me everything within that little polygon area that I drew. So if I want to draw East Cobb, or if I want to draw a specific neighborhood or things like that, I can do that very easily. And then if I want to look at a property, so let's see over here, I'm looking at this one. Notice how the listing detail page itself will pop up in the middle of the page. I can scroll down. I can see all the information about the property. right, and then I X out, and where am I? Right back to where I was. That little part right there is priceless, because people get lost in their searches so often they don't know where they were and how they got back to where, you know, they originally started. So you'll notice, see this property right here? You can't see it so easily. There's a check mark on it. So what it does is it starts to show you properties that you've already looked at. So when you start, you know, filtering, just little things like that, start to show you very visually that, okay, I've already looked at that property, I start seeing. So if I want to, you know, navigate by price point, I can do that. I can do it by different sizes. Then there's a bunch more options over here, including, you know, your advanced search. So just like before, if you want to search by neighborhood from the MLS input, if I want to search by schools from the MLS input, if I want to start looking for, you know, options of pools and all kinds of little nuances that you can really filter your search, then you can use the advanced search for that. Now, this little menu over here will show you, you know, active, pending, and sold by color. So if instead of active, let's say I want to look at sold properties. So again, this is not common in the marketplace. So most of our competitors do not display sold properties from the MLS. Let me pop that and clear the overlay. So do you know which of our competitors show sold properties? Or if you go to Zillow, can you see sold properties?
See, I was in one.
Well, you can see them in
Well,
your
if you're
profile.
logged in on
Yeah.
ours.
And where does the data come from?
We feed it, we feed it.
It's whatever anybody provides to them, or tax records. So if you're looking at sold properties by tax records in East Cobb, how long does it take a tax record to show up? Weeks, sometimes months. So if you're in a hot area where things are flying off the shelf at, you know, $300,000 in East Cobb, and you want to see what sold yesterday, can you do that on your website?
Yeah, we can.
You can on yours. All right, so all the national providers are using tax records because they don't have the rights to use the MLS data like you do. All right, so if you're doing a search, or one of your consumers is doing a search in East Cobb, they can see literally what sold yesterday. All right, and you can do the same thing on your mobile app, can't you? All right, so that's one little advantage that you have. So Coldwell Banker, because they have a national platform, you can't do that. Harry Norman does do that. Land Fine Homes does not do that. So most of your local competitors, they actually all have the ability to do it because their MLS allows us to do it, but most of them don't do it. So all these little things, little pearls I'm kind of trying to give you are little things you can drop in listing presentations, or things that you can share with your buyers to get them, you know, to understand the benefit of using your search tools instead of the national search tools, so you can kind of capture them in the real world. Have a question?
Is there also a delay when the property is just listed
Yeah, usually you'll,
on Zillow?
well, when it's just listed,
On Zillow, when it pops up, wouldn't it appear first on our website as opposed to Zillow's?
well, theoretically, if everything works like it's supposed to, they'll populate pretty much the same, because we all have high-speed direct feeds to Realtor.com, to our websites, and to Zillow. Zillow tends to be a little slower, especially to populate photos. They've had some challenges with photos, but they're fairly quick to display on Zillow as well. Yes?
So are we still waiting for Solon's? It says
Yes.
updating results.
Well, something's not working here, so we have to clear this overlay.
That's what was killing
On the solds, is it still that 180 day that we get from FMLS, or does it go further back?
Solds typically will go back to a year,
Okay.
so it'll show the latest. All right, for whatever reason, that's not working, so yeah, I'm gonna look at that. But anyway, that's a quick overview of Search3. That will work on all your different devices. I would encourage you to play with it, use it. It's on all of your websites today. Just get comfortable with it so that you can begin to explain the advantages of what it is that you have available versus what your competition has available. So what's the big deal? What's the big deal to your seller? What's the big deal to your buyer? For a buyer, it's pretty obvious. You've got all kinds of tools that they can use, and they can have better local searches. For the seller, you know, by exposing those kinds of tools to more buyers, we'll have a better chance to attract more buyers to your listings.
How do we get to it on our personal website?
Search properties.
All right? So let's do that.
Under properties?
Same thing.
Yeah, just do a property search.
There we go, okay.
Okay, got it?
Does it got,
Now, I'll tell you, a couple of things that are coming. So the benefit of this is now that you've got these platforms in place, we can begin to do more things. So where we're headed with this, number one, the intranet I showed you before, the full intranet site search should be here the week of July 4th. Right? So probably Thursday of that week. Then you'll be able to go to the intranet, and in the search bar, type in whatever you want, and then you'll have a number of results pop up, so you have to figure out where the heck is that, and it'll be very, very easy to find information on the intranet. Yes?
The mobile search for Search3 is still a separate thing from our app, or are they now kind of integrated?
Well, it is, so a consumer could use a
Either.
smartphone and go right to Search3.
Okay.
And if the reason for that, so if you think about it, if someone's visiting your site, they don't know you, they've been there for the first time, they don't know anything about your mobile app, all right? And they simply go with a smartphone, they'll be able to immediately start using the Search3 platform because it's designed to work well on mobile. I still encourage people to give people their mobile app, all right? Because it's easier just to stick an icon on your device, click. There's still some advantages in the mobile app that you can have, like drive time for now. Although we'll be adding that to the other sites as well shortly. But the mobile app is really a good search platform.
Yeah, no, I like it. I just, after you kind of talking about how fancy and fabulous this
Yes.
Search3 is, I'm like, well, is my
Yeah,
mobile
but
app
it's a
still-
good question, and really the
That's when
question
you're
kind of
sitting in
that you
the
beg
office,
is,
yeah.
over time, do you really need the mobile app? And the answer is maybe not. So we're gonna give this a year or so
Okay.
to see how everything performs, and if,
It's quick
you know,
and
the
easy.
answer is, you don't really need the mobile app, then we'll take that money and we'll spend it on something else that gives us.
Because
that-
this will link to you.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna do it.
But the mobile app's so quick in the car. I mean, you know.
It is.
It is right now. They're gonna merge eventually.
Yeah, what has to happen in the world of real estate, app providers have to find incrementally better functionality than they have today, or they won't survive. They'll get displaced by these types of tools. But a lot of them are, the path they're kind of on is to take more advantage of some of the native communications and collaboration functions in the device itself. So they're trying to do chats and all kinds of other ways to collaborate quicker on a smartphone and a tablet. And if they're successful at doing that, they'll have some more value. If not, you know, a year or two from now, they won't, and we'll just
But
take
this
that money
is
and do
great for the
something
people
else.
who haven't downloaded your app yet.
Yes, so now they can search away, and they can search with a really powerful platform,
And you still get
whether they
the-
have the app or not, and they can, you know, immediately go to town. There's a new version of the listing detail page coming in July as well, that will make the photos bigger, which is, I'm a big fan of. Bigger the better when it comes to photos, so that's coming as well. Drive time, which you have on the mobile app today, so you can pick 3 locations. We're gonna implement that probably late July, might be early August, but you will have the ability to, from all of these devices now, within Search3 to pick 3 different locations. Most of our competitors who implement some sort of a drive time search, like Atlanta Fine Homes has one today, it doesn't work at all. You can pick one location, and it's really difficult to work. So the way that they implemented it wasn't so good. The concept is really good. So I think you're gonna really like ours when we do it. And then there's the other things that we're working on that will come, is you'll be able to basically go to the search bar, just like you do, you know, a typical Google search. And by the fall is really when we're gonna implement this kind of functionality. We just start typing in things like, you know, 3-bedroom with a pool in East Cobb, and it's gonna start hopping up results. So much more natural language search. So now that we've got these platforms in place, we can begin to do a lot more things like that. We're gonna be adding custom searches for, you know, I mentioned Buckhead. So instead of ending up in Buckhead, Georgia, you'll be able to go to, we'll be able to define the exact area of Buckhead, place that in all of our searches, and people start typing in BUC, up pops, Buckhead, Atlanta, and you'll be able to go there. Same thing for East Cobb. So we're gonna need to define geographic boundaries of exactly how you want East Cobb to show up. So when people go in East Cobb or
Discussions
wherever
about
it
where
is.
East Cobb is.
Yes, and that's the same thing with Buckhead. Everybody debates, what really is Buckhead? Bill Murray believes it's, the Atlanta North School District. So you're gonna have to get a team together and define what is East Cobb and lay it out exactly on a map so we can define it and stick it in there. So, and there's, same thing with Lake Lanier, how you define Lake Lanier and other things like that. So that's what I'm really excited about that piece because again, real estate's local. And if we do that part really, really well, national guys will never catch up with us on really micro, local, neighborhood-based search. So if I want to define Bridge Mill, in Canton, we can do that. We know where Bridge Mill is and then exactly how it lays out. Well, that's going to be a little more difficult for Zillow and Realtor.com and others to do. So that's our advantage. Real estate is local, and that's our advantage. Okay. So any questions about Search3? So I would encourage you again, play with it, get comfortable kind of navigating. If you see bugs or issues like I couldn't get results to work, we'll report them, and they're pretty good about fixing them quickly. There'll be a few bugs in the early stages, but we'll get those fixed quickly. So start playing, start pulling up your different devices, and I would encourage you to go pull up some of your competitors. So if you're going out on a listing presentation, pull up a couple of competitors and just kind of see where they are. You'll find, a few might be in pretty good shape. Others might be in really bad shape. And you can use that, for positioning in the right way to that particular client. Okay?
When did you say roughly it would be like on our mobile phone, we can go on and it'll be very mobile phone friendly where we can start going to the website and just showing our clients? So
really kind of depends on your site today. So the majority of our sites are already mobile optimized. So if you have a custom site, some of those are and some of those aren't. So you should have been contacted by Agent Marketing Services for if you've got a custom site to schedule a discussion with you about how to migrate yours. So we've gotten about over 3/4 of all of our sites already migrated, and we've got a few more to
She
go.
says we've done ours.
No,
Yeah.
we haven't done ours, they contacted us, that
Okay.
we need to
Yeah, so
get on it.
and so just remember when you're going through that, smartphone first. You've got a bunch of buttons on your site on the home page or some sub pages that have a bunch of tables of information, stuff like that. That ain't gonna work on this device. So we have to all kind of rethink smartphone first, the way that information shows up, and redesign some of those pages to where they fit appropriately. Because what you don't want is, the page to string down, too far on a mobile device, because they'll never go that far, will they? So you want to make it, if it goes any further than about right here, when they have to scroll down, then you're going to lose them beyond that. So we have to rethink the way that some of our content is laid out on those pages. Yes.
So if I'm on my site now, and if it did work, would I just click on search to
Yep.
see if Search3 is on it?
No, it's on it. And even if your site itself is not migrated to mobile, Search3 is on it and is still functional from a mobile device. See, really exciting. There, somebody just found it. So.
Is it called Search3 or
No,
what?
no, that's yeah, that's our internal name.
Technical term.
So, one thing I didn't show you actually, which is kind of neat.
Make sure
They're not yours, Todd.
What's that?
They're not yours, you can relax.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mine are gone
You
for the
also
week.
have market stats right up here, right beside it. So when you click on market stats, wherever the area is that you've identified, it will immediately pop up market stats. And right now, that is available on a zip code basis. So whatever the zip code is that you're searching in, it will pop it up. One of the things we're also working on, this is a couple of months out, is if you draw a polygon, or if you selected an area as we define East Cobb, it will give you stats on that specific area. So if you're, talking about Indian Hills again, for example, if you drew a polygon or we did a search specifically for Indian Hills, then you'd be able to get market stats on just Indian Hills instead of the zip code, which has a bunch of different price points and kind of really isn't that relevant. So this is kind of the beginning again of that stage of the platform, and in a couple of months this will get really, really narrow, and I think that'll be really popular with clients.
You need to go to school districts.
Yeah, school districts will do as well.
Yeah.
Tommy,
Yes.
my site has been mobile friendly for a while, my personal site. Am I gonna need to have those guys do something to?
If you have a third-party site, there's nothing you need to do.
Okay.
If you have a third-party site and one of our sites,
Okay.
you just want to make sure that your Berkshire Hathaway sites.
Okay.
So, yes.
I'm just a little confused still on why there's more of a delay on the sales side as opposed to the listing side on Zillow versus us. So I think if there is a delay in Zillow compared to us, that's a major advantage that we have when a buyer's looking for a property in East Cobb.
So
in a very hot
today,
market.
there's a today and tomorrow answer
Okay.
that. So let's take the listing side for just a minute. And there's a whole effort within the industry. You may have heard, discussions of a big national platform that some people are working on, and it is essentially to do what you're describing on the listing side, so that if we're able to control our data a little bit better from the MLSs and send it to our website for a day and then wait and send it to Zillow a day later, or Realtor.com a day later, there's an effort in the industry to potentially set something up to do that. Today, it doesn't work that way. Today, everything comes to us all about the same time. And there's RETS feeds, there's a standard in the way the feeds are set up. And they're actually pretty fast. So that, if you went back a couple of years ago, Georgia MLS was awful. It would take 2 or 3 days for information to show up anywhere from Georgia MLS, but that's improved. It's all typically within the same day. So if you input in FMLS and Georgia MLS today, that information is going to show up on our website, it's going to show up on Realtor.com, it's going to show up on Zillow the same day.
But on the sales side, there's a delay.
Yeah, so the difference is,
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
if we have rights to use the MLS data on solds.
Okay.
So
there's a difference.
the national providers do not.
Okay.
So if you're searching on your site, you can see something sold in East Cobb yesterday, and you go to Zillow, unless somebody has provided them by clicking on the listing as saying it was sold, they can't use the MLS. They're restricted from using the MLS data to show sold properties, so they use tax records.
Okay.
And tax records are going to be delayed at least a couple of weeks, and in some places, months.
I just figured if there was a delay on one, it would be on the other, but that's the reason.
Yeah,
for
so
it.
it's because we have rights to the MLS data and they don't.
Okay.
That's the difference. Okay?
I have a quick question on the market stats. Is there a way to print those 6 or 9 charts? Can you right click and print? That would be.
Probably not right now, but it's a good question.
Do a screen grab of them and put them out.
You could do that.
It'd be too little on print.
Yeah, you'd have to format and everything, but there is, if you're under the listings manager in the intranet, there are similar reports that you can print that are designed
This is just
to
great
print.
because it's all across.
Mhm.
It's
There's what's called the Market Watch as well. So if you go back to if you're doing a report for a buyer from the intranet, and you're in the listings manager. Yeah, that's where I'm going. So if you wanted to pull up a report for 300 whatever, you can do that in the listings section of the intranet and print off a report that way.
It's not as.
But I'll tell you what I always recommend people, the best report for the most part is the interactive AVM, to be able to show people what's going on in their market area. So with collateral analytics, because that's the report lenders are going to use, to look at a mortgage and quickly, approve or deny.
This just shows, well, I was thinking this shows homes so in terms of market,
Mhm.
new, that type of stuff.
Yep, and you can do that. Well, let me switch gears on you real quick. Todd, if you'll help me pass this out.
Capture it.
One other thing I want to bring to your attention, we have a new global listings program. Now, you know, we already expose our listings to 40,000, websites all over the planet. So we are probably the most advanced in the nation in our listing syndication, our listings exposure. But we've added some things lately where we've got some additional global websites, and we want to take advantage of that opportunity in the marketplace. So one of the things that should be here today or tomorrow is we've ordered some riders that you can put on a listing sign that says global listing. All right? And so if you'll put that on your listing on the top of the sign, it will create some interesting attention in your local market. And so this is a flyer that you can use as part of your advanced property marketing system in Search, to describe this to a potential listing client.
So
But
our listings go up on this no matter what?
yes,
They're just
As long
up?
as it's over 500.
no. Well, there are some of the websites are over 500 that are luxury.
But whatever fits the criteria, they will,
Right.
you
That's
guys
right.
automatically put it out.
So what we're trying to do with this essentially is to simply create some buzz in local markets. So people drive by and they see global listing, what is that?
Right.
And so what do you think they're likely to do? They might call you, or they might start, what do you think the neighbors are gonna do? They see the sign, they see global listing, what is that? How does he have a global listing and I don't? Right? So we're not really, widely explaining this, so the whole point is to get people to contact you. What we really want is you to be able to get more listings from people seeing a sign that goes up that says global listing, and they go, the heck is that? And then they start asking questions, which ultimately lead to you or lead to the seller, who can explain, well, my listing's on blah, 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 all these websites, and if you would like, I can introduce you to, Marshall. And off you go. So take advantage of these writers, take advantage of this program, learn and understand what this is all about. I'll tell you, this is a whole area, Todd, if you'll pass this out too. We're gonna spend a lot of energy as a company in.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with the text ID? Because we get so many hits.
Well, so there are options, you can hang that as well. So you can put it up on the top. You use a text ID at the top. You can use a hanger
So many hits.
as well, down below. Whether it's a post sign or a stick in the ground sign, you've got, some options to do that.
Is
Yes.
there a price range on that?
Nope. You're doing any price range. Now, I've shown you this as an example. We're gonna be spending a lot of energy really understanding how to best market to properties, to potential buyers all across the world, and multicultural buyers within our own market. So some of the things that you want to probably be thinking about, Todd mentioned the SIPS training, all right, Certified International Property Specialist. I would encourage everybody to go through that because it's a great designation and it's a great part of the story that you can tell about how we're exposing our properties to people in other cultures that might come in here and buy it, or people that are already here from other cultures who think differently than maybe your seller or maybe you.
Even if you don't speak another language.
Even if you don't speak another language. So the other part of that is we're working on some training for multicultural understanding. So if you have a Korean buyer, a Chinese buyer, an Indian buyer, do you really understand the nuances of something that you would do that would be stupid to them or offend them? All right? There's all kinds of little things that can be offensive. Do you really understand how they think and how they negotiate, all right, when they're coming in as a buyer? And some of you may, and some of you may not. So one of the things we're going to be spending some energy on is trying to educate everybody a little bit more on exactly how people from other cultures think and how they would operate as a buyer and how you can be more successful in working with them, right? And we're also, if there's a language barrier, we're going to be aggressively going after new agents to join our company who speak other languages, because that does matter. and then we'll be able to partner and do other kinds of creative things. So I'm showing you this as an example. We're going to be developing partnerships with a couple of companies. This is a company that I'm working with right now that we're going to end up with some form of partnership with. It's a company called July in China. They are, we think, the best website behind the firewall. So if you were in China, can you pull up Zillow? So the government either blocks or slows down websites so slow that they're unusable. All right, so it's just different in China. So July is a very interesting partner. They can do things like translate our entire listing. They'll culturally translate the text description. So instead of 3 bedrooms, fat, blah, 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 they'll completely translate it in a way that people in China would understand it and be more interested in the property based on the way that they describe it. And, you know, because there's not an easy translation where you can just say 3 bedrooms, a bath, and Google Translate doesn't work for people in China. It just doesn't work culturally. So there's a lot of things that, you know, we look for in this partnership. These are just some tips for you to be thinking about. And does the average consumer that you deal with, that you're going on a listing presentation, really understand they can't see Realtor.com in China? Most of them don't. They have no clue how this works.
Or Zillow.
Yeah. Now Zillow has a partnership with Zillow and you, and it's part of our story as well. But it's, you know, far smaller in terms of traffic than this particular site.
Yeah, what about Purdue? Does it help? I mean, that's the Google of China.
Yes, yes. So that is the Google of China, but you can't go to that search engine and find Realtor.com or Zillow or Homes.com or Redfin or anything, or our sites for that matter. So we have to play differently in China, and when there's 3 billion people there, it's worth paying attention to, okay? So now other countries, different nuances in Europe, different nuances in South America, but you know, I'm gonna go back to the SIPS training again. Do you really understand how real estate works in these other countries? All right, so is it a 3%, 6% kind of business model in France, in Australia? So the way that you do referrals back and forth, the way real estate works in some of these countries is different. So you don't have to know everything, but if you learn a couple of interesting pearls and you can drop those in a listing presentation discussion, you look smarter, right? Most of your competition doesn't really understand this, and you have a better chance of both winning a listing and actually using these tools and these methods in marketing to have a better chance to actually engage people and sell it. All right, so we're going to be spending a lot of energy here. Yes?
In China, buyers pay commission as well. So do we charge buyer for commission? Do we charge Chinese buyer for commission from China?
Right, that's one of the things we're actually working on. Herman Haynes is our broker in Midtown and also involved in our new condo initiative. He just got back from 2 weeks in China with the with AREA, the Asian Real Estate Association of America, and the Chinese Real Estate Association. They had a series of meetings in different cities for the last 2 weeks. One of the things they were talking about is the commission structure, because it works a little differently in parts of China and then other parts of Indonesia, and then other Asian countries and Korea and Japan, for example. So, and SIPs, part of the SIPs training is an understanding of how the commission structures work and how referrals work. I mean, it's 6 days of training. It's heavy, but it gives everybody a better basis understanding how the commission structure works. So in a lot of cases right now, most Chinese buyers are paying cash here. So financing is, you know, very difficult to accomplish, but most pay cash, and most of the interest in properties tends to be from what, you know, these folks will tell us, $500,000 and above. So, you know, properties are more expensive in China, so they're, you know, used to more that price point. And then you've got, you know, the normal 6% you would typically get. But it depends on whether there's an agent in China referring or they're coming direct. So in July's case, one of the things they do is they'll actually take an inquiry from someone in China, and they'll have a Chinese speaking person speak to them, and then they'll qualify excuse me, qualify the opportunity. And then, as you probably know, in China, a lot of that's not done by email, it's done by WeChat and tools like that, because the government's looking at emails. So it's just a different world. And so they'll qualify the opportunity and then send it to us and allow us to work directly.
Let me ask a quick question. Are other Berkshire Hathaway, home services, brokerages across, US working in the same format? Or do we know? I mean, like,
No.
is Florida or is North Carolina?
So,
or-
Search3, for example, if you're a Reliance Network customer, then you would have Search3 as well.
No, I'm talking
And a
about
chunk
the
of them
China-
do.
I'm talking about the
And
Chinese.
what we're doing here,
The
no.
global stuff.
This is,
We're good.
this part, the new, 70 global websites, all the franchise members get to take advantage of that.
Uh-huh.
This is all us locally.
Okay, I was just curious.
So it's kind of a combination of the two.
Okay. There's some, it's a selling tool.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So this is kind of informational. There's more to come in this arena, but I would encourage you to start taking advantage of this global listings writer, however you want to display it on your signs, and get some people talking in your local areas and just create some buzz. Todd will make you a deal.